iPhone 10. This is how it would compare to the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 or the Google Pixel 2 XL. So actually significantly smaller than those phones, but with a significantly larger 6.5-inch display panel, just because of essentially no bezels and just a notch which is even thinner and smaller basically than last year's model. I really want to hear or basically read what you guys think about all this. Would you ever use an Apple Pencil on the 6.5-inch iPhone Plus? Or the 5.8-inch iPhone. Keep in mind that you would have to buy the Apple Pencil separately, which is not cheap by any means. And, with the Galaxy Note lineup, you actually get one inside a box. Well, inside the actual phone. Okay, so what else? Well, China Time actually reported that Apple would be upgrading the wireless charging on the 2018 iPhones by adding basically a copper coil instead of the FPC one that the iPhone 10 uses and most of the smartphones use today. Essentially, this means that the wireless charging would be faster on the 2018 iPhones, and that's obviously really cool to see. Speaking of really cool things to see, the AirPower charging mat is still something we haven't seen yet, so it still hasn't been released. It was introduced in September 2017 with the iPhone 10, and same applies to the AirPods charging case. We haven't seen any of those released yet. So yeah, these are finally set to be introduced in September 2018, which this is gonna be a full year after the original unveil that those products would be finally released. So hopefully Apple has a really good excuse for all this. That's if they're actually gonna mention this at all. I mean, we know that Apple's trying to make the AirPower mat able to charge your device anywhere you place them on the actual mat. So they would be fitting that thing with charging coils pretty much everywhere. And it would also have a really, really good software integration. And I personally think that it's actually because of their charging coil position, the reason why this thing was delayed by basically a year. Essentially every other wireless charger on the market uses one coil for each device that they want to charge. Some actually use two if you have a tall device. But basically Apple wants to make it so that you can place your iPhone, Apple Watch, or AirPods literally anywhere on the power mat and charge the devices at the same speed no matter of the position, which is really, really difficult to do. I mean, if you take a look at the Samsung wireless charger that they've actually released or that they're going to release, that would work with the Samsung Galaxy Note S series and the watch as well, but those actually have indentation in spots where you can position those devices. You cannot really place them anywhere. So yeah, those basically use two or basically three wireless charging coils, whereas the Apple one would be full of charging coils. And obviously this is a much more difficult thing to do. And then TrendForce has also published a report on the 2018 iPhones, basically talking about the specs, and everything was pretty much aligned to everything we knew already. So display size of the 3 new models, the actual display panel, so OLED on the 2 more premium models, and then LCD on the 6.1-inch variant. Also, it is quite interesting seeing the storage options. This is something that we haven't really seen reported before. So according to TrendForce, the 6.5 and the 5.8-inch models would be coming with 64 and 256 and 512 gigabytes of storage. So yeah, lots of storage options. 3, this is probably the most we've ever had, while the 6.1-inch model would actually be coming in 64 and 256. So essentially the same options that we got with the 2017 iPhone 10. Personally, I did get the 256 gigabyte iPhone 10 back in 2017, but I don't really use it fully. So I use about 90 gigabytes of storage. So for me, 128 gigabytes is actually the sweet spot, but unfortunately Apple doesn't sell that. Of course. Let me know in the comments which storage option works best for you. And then when it comes to the actual price, the 64 gigabyte baseline options are set to start from $700 to $750 or pounds in the UK for the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone Lite, $900 to $950 or pounds for the 5.8-inch model, and $1,000 or 1,000 pounds in the UK, because why not 1-to-1 conversion ratio, for the 6.5-inch iPhone Plus. Obviously, these prices would go higher depending on what storage options you pick. So essentially the Plus model of the iPhone would be the same price as the iPhone 10 in 2017. So what about the release date? Well, Apple has had a September iPhone event for many years now, so they would be definitely announced in September. The iPhone 10 was announced on September the 12th, which interesting enough was actually on a Tuesday, even though WWDCs are usually held on Mondays. And speaking of this, the 2018 event, we've had many reports from phone carriers especially stating that the Apple event would be held either on a Tuesday, September the 11th, or on a Wednesday, September the 12th. It's most likely going to be September 12th. I don't know. I have a good feeling about the 12 number. I think this is what Apple is going to go with. But at the same time, 11 would make a lot of sense if Apple's going to call this, the iPhone 11. So I'll have to see if it's September the 11th or September the 12th. And in terms of when these would actually be shipped, that's usually a week later. So Friday, September the 21st. but we've actually had some reports that only the iPhone Plus and the 5.8-inch models would be released on September the 21st, and then the light version would be actually delayed until October, you know, so that more people buy the more premium iPhones. It's probably not only because of that. Apple had some issues when it came to manufacturing obviously the LCD display, which is a bit of a tricky thing to do, since, you know, being able to bend an LCD display like that and flex it and have a weird shape, that's not something that's been done before a lot. The Essential phone has done it, and a few more manufacturers, but it's not something that you can do as easily as you can with an OLED display. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to the future smartphones are headed today. So a bezel-less future where pretty much all smartphones would look the same, but we would be getting an incredibly immersive experience because of that bezel-less display. And speaking of the future, I like reading and imagining how we as a human race would be like in, let's say, 1,000 years or so. And if you're a science fiction fan like I am, I highly suggest reading 3001, The Final Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke. So this is actually the last book of the Space Odyssey series, and it's just a brilliant portrayal of how Clarke imagines we would be living 1,000 years from now. And if you're a busy person like I am and you don't have time to, you know, read actual books, you can listen to this along with an outstanding number of audiobooks on Audible while running, hiking, working, and doing many other productive things at the same time. The perks of audiobooks. So just go to audible.com/zoneoftech or text zoneoftech to 500-500 if you're US based. If you're not US based, just go to audible.com/zoneoftech. The link works everywhere. And you get 30 days free trial as well as a free audiobook for you to keep. And yeah, thanks again for Audible for sponsoring this video. So there you go, lots of updates on the 2018 iPhones. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about everything that I've mentioned in this video. Do you think the upgrades would be worth it over the iPhone 10 in 2017? I would say no. If you have an iPhone 10, don't upgrade unless you really need that Plus model. But other than that, you know, it's mostly the same design, which is already really good. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. What do you guys think about the Apple Pencil and the size comparison between multiple smartphones? Also, don't forget to join the zone. Hit that join button and you get some pretty cool exclusive perks. You support the channel, and yeah, you get some pretty cool perks in the meantime, like the live stream, which I'll be doing next Friday. So stay tuned for that. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel, and enable notifications by tapping on that bell icon so that you get notified whenever a brand new cool video, hopefully this was cool, comes out. But yeah, thank you for watching. This has been pretty much it for this video. If you guys like, if you enjoyed, let me know. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Zoneoftech, signing out. Cheers.